Well, for more on this story, joining us live from Perth, Australia, is Joe Siracusa. He's a professor of security and diplomacy at Curtin University. Nice to speak to you again. Joe, how would you qualify the state of the US-Israel relationship at this point? Does the US have its head in the sand over Israel's behaviour?
Good morning, Charlotte. Well, actually, it's at the lowest point I've seen it in my lifetime. I've been around a long time. The Prime Minister of Israel gets on television and says that Biden administration is not giving him what he needs to win this war. That's literally saying that he's not going to win. And so what he's trying to do is trying to build up his case that when he has to explain who lost Gaza, he's going to blame the American administration. And that is why Blinken and President Biden reacted quickly to sort of damage control. And it's quite clear to me that Netanyahu is waiting for the return of Donald Trump, who will give them a free hand and whatever else he needs. But nothing's working for Netanyahu. You know, his cabinet's dissolved. He's lost his mandate with the Israeli Defense Force. It says it has no clarity about what it's supposed to do. Hamas is not going to disappear. And so he's made promises he can't keep. So now he's looking for excuses, which is what politicians do when they're about to lose something. And I could just see Netanyahu going on in July in the American Congress saying that the war was lost in the corridors of Washington, and that'll be it for Joe Biden if he has any chances at all. But it's quite clear to me that the Biden administration's relationship with Prime Minister Netanyahu is broken down. And so we're going from there.
And what about over the border with Lebanon? There have been so many escalations and de-escalations between Hezbollah and the Israelis. Where would you say we are right now? Netanyahu has just said he's ready for an all-out war with Hezbollah. How worried should we all be about a full-scale conflict there?
Well, we're about a New York minute away from a war in Lebanon. In fact, I was always under the impression that the war in Gaza was sort of the first act. I mean, the big conflict here was going to be Lebanon, which is where the major threat is coming from. And of course, Netanyahu never imagined for a moment that he'd get weighed down in Gaza. And of course, you got tens of thousands of people being displaced in Lebanon and Israeli border towns in both places, as a matter of fact. And Hezbollah is a little bit out of control, and it's quite clear that they'll be able to penetrate the Iron Dome. You can swamp missile defense. I don't care whether they're nuclear missiles or rockets or drones, whatever it is. I mean, Iron Dome only works so much. If you launch 100,000 rockets, a lot of them are going to get through and there'll be major damage. And so I think the Israeli Defense Force was always headed towards Lebanon, and I don't know what's going to keep them back right now. And of course, the Americans are terrified that the war is going to spread, because if Lebanon gets involved, the Americans are going to blame Iran for for Hezbollah activities, and then the United States will be involved. And of course, the big winners here are Beijing and Moscow and Pyongyang and other places that are just going about their business, while the Americans and its great ally in Israel are going down the gurgler. So this is just bad news all around. When I saw Netanyahu's attack, Charlotte, I thought, well, this is the end of that. What he's saying is that he's telling Biden to go away, and he's waiting for the return of Donald Trump. And there are a lot of people waiting for the return of Donald Trump. Is this going to have an ending? Yeah, eventually, when we have an ending where people are just worn out, a war of attrition at the end. But it's going to be a very unhappy ending for Israeli politics, because it's quite clear to me that what's going on in all these places is not only morally corrosive, but it's going to produce a paralysis in the body politic at the end of the day, because Hamas will be there after Netanyahu promised they would disappear. The hostages will be returned in pieces, because not many of these people are left alive. So that one's off the calendar too. So we got a mess, and I'm enjoying watching him. When I say enjoying, I'm getting a good picture of how Netanyahu works. He can't blame anybody else around him. So he's going to blame the American government, their very best friend in the world, with turning their back on them at the last minute in order to shift the blame. And I'll tell you what, this has a very unhappy ending for Israeli-American relations down the road.
Absolutely, Stanley, in a tight spot, but he's been in them before. Joe Siracusa from Australia, many thanks for joining us on the NewsHour today.
Thank you, Charlotte.